Hello everyone, welcome. Today I have a drawing video for you, and I'll just cut to the chase. I've been drawing for roughly 5 years now, and I have never once looked back at my drawing process really, so I recorded it. I recorded my entire drawing process for the artwork that you're hopefully seeing on screen. I don't know how I'm going to edit this. I recorded a time-lapse of me drawing this artwork, but I also recorded it with OBS. We're going to be looking at the OBS footage, which is a little higher quality, but it includes like me zooming in and stuff, which I zoom in a lot, so it's going to be a little hard to watch. If you want to see the time-lapse, I should have that uploaded as a short on my channel, so you can check that out. I'm really just hoping that like we're going to be able to learn something, you and me, because I want to review my drawing process. I want to see like the mistakes I made, and I specifically remember some parts that I just like kind of lost track of what I was doing, and there was even one part where I like really thought I was just killing the artwork. I literally just had to like put down the pen and just like take a day break or something so I could come back and actually finish it with a clear mindset. So we're gonna be looking over. I hope that we can learn something. I hope that you can learn something from me being an idiot. But yeah, we can go ahead and get to the sketch phase. To start off, it's nothing too special. My inspiration for drawing this Kefla piece was that she came out in Genshin Squadra, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna draw Kefla. And there was specifically this one shot from the trailer where she was like hitting her like iconic like point pose. I really wanted to draw that. I thought that I could fit that on the canvas and it would look good. But I really wanted to do like a portrait drawing, because I don't do like portrait drawings of characters too often anymore. I haven't done one in a while, is all I'm saying. So I decided to try to do that, but I had a lot of trouble fitting it on the page in a way that like made sense and would have made for a good design. If I tried harder, I probably could have done it. If I went for some like foreshortening or something with her hand, I maybe could have done it, but I really wanted to look like the Genshin shot where like, you know, it's from this below angle and she's, you know, pointing to, I don't know, somewhere off screen. Right there, I actually did try to do a foreshortening thing, but I just didn't like it as much. My anatomy is like horrible right here. I'm literally just trying to get like a rough idea of what I want on the page so that I can like visualize the end result and like get something that I like. So you see me like rearranging her on the page, see me messing with the arm and stuff. And then like at this point I just gave up on doing the point pose. I was just like, screw it, bro, I'm just gonna make something up. So I did something with like the red orb she likes to spin around. And I thought that this was kind of a cool pose, her like holding one, she's like looking at it, and then she's also like, you know, charging up some orbs behind her as well. I really like the way that like I drew her face at this angle, so this is the final sketch I went with. And I immediately start just inking everything. The sketch wasn't the most detailed. During my drawing process, I usually add detail in the line art phase, which probably isn't very good for me to do. But I think it's fine. It came out fine for this. I was trying to be fast with making this drawing anyways. I didn't want to spend like 16 hours making it or something. In total, I spent about 9 hours making this drawing, so that's pretty good time in my opinion. It's not like I had any reason to make it super fast. I just wanted to see, you know, how fast I could pop out this artwork. Roughly around this point, I would say this Kefla looked like she was from Dragon Ball FighterZ or something. I wasn't really trying to make her look like she was from Genshin. Like I was using some different brushes and stuff, and I was using the colors. Like you can see me pull up a reference on the side there. That's where I got the colors for everything from. But I like shade everything differently. I drew everything differently, and it kind of ended up looking like Dragon Ball FighterZ a little bit right here. So I had a pretty tough time like shading everything, because I didn't want to just keep on like having to color pick colors. I want to come up with my own colors. So I was using all sorts of layers of different effects and filters and stuff. And eventually I landed on some stuff that I liked. I changed a lot of it later, but I do kind of like the way that I shaded this. I don't normally shade things like this. I don't know exactly what I did differently, to be honest. I just like stopped caring. I just didn't like shade it perfectly at all. I was just like, this is probably fine. I would say a big influence, like an inspiration when I was rendering this drawing, mainly for like coloring and even just in the drawing phase. I don't know who they are. I don't think I've ever looked into them, but there's this guy that makes thumbnails for 3 Idiots videos, mainly for rhyme style. He's made some for like Dotto as well, and probably Dion. I really like the way that like he renders everything. Like it looks like simple. It looks like he drew that in like a day, but he makes it like look really good and professional at the same time. And I really like tried to do that here, and I think that's kind of why my shading came out the way that it did. Yep. Start putting in the background here. I didn't do anything crazy. I just did some generic filter stuff. I start putting in the orbs now. I will say I made the background look a good bit like the anime, but this is not the final background. I mean, it kind of is, but I changed it a lot later. Right here is when I took a 2-day break drawing this. Everything else, like everything before this, I drew in roughly 1 or 2 days, I think. But I just had to take like 2 days off after I got to this point because I just thought I was killing the drawing. I really did not know what I was doing here. I didn't love the colors I had on Kefla. The vibe just was off. I didn't know what I was gonna do with the orbs. It took a long time to like make them all spiky and stuff. And I just did not know what I was doing. I wasn't placing them correctly or anything. I felt like kind of heartbroken here. Like I thought I wouldn't be able to finish the drawing because I was just like, dude, I don't know what to do now. And that's kind of when I realized like I just need to take a break. At this point, how long was I drawing? I'd already spent like 3 hours drawing this. Or not 3 hours, no, way longer. Way short, no. I think I already spent like 5 hours on this drawing so far. So I was just like pretty tired. And I just realized like I just need to take a break. I just need to take a step back, come back to it later with a fresh set of eyes, and then maybe I can actually scrounge up something from this and not ruin the drawing. So this is me with a fresh pair of eyes. I come back in and I'm doing all these like highlights. I'm adding some of this like white stuff, making things shiny, adding some contrast. I start messing around with the colors. I gave everything like a red filter because I thought that would be very fitting with like the lighting from the orbs. And things are already starting to look fairly rendered. So I start adding in a lot more effects on the orbs. I make them spin, add some like motion blur and such. And I really like the effects that I got, like the streak effects on the spinning. I thought that looked really cool. The orbs are basically done here. I come back to them later, like make them shinier and stuff, but now I'm just like trying to fix Kefla because I just don't like the tones and the, just a lot of things about it. But now I'd say it's more or less done. I'm just trying to fix a lot of the like design mistakes I made. Things like I just don't like the background at all. I wanted to add in a lot more effects, like wind effects or lightning effects or something. So here I was going for like a very stylistic approach, like a comic book and style like inspired thing, but I just didn't really like it. Ooh, that's a jump cut. I don't know why there's a jump there. I must have forgotten to I think I forgot to unpause my recording or something. It went from me messing with like these comic book effects to like all these other effects are just already done. This is way later in the drawing. Yeah, I must have forgotten to unpause my recording. I apologize. You can see it in the short though. You can see whatever I missed right there. Whatever's not in the recording. I added some like orange light onto the orbs and stuff because I was looking at some references for when Kefla was like using her orb attack. Mainly the Dragon Ball Legends art for her LF. And I saw there was like an orange light radiating from it. I was like, oh, that's actually very interesting. Because I was just going to give it like a red glow. Maybe even a white glow. But the orange actually added a lot to this piece, I think. Now I'm just like editing some small things. Because I was drawing this pretty quickly. So there's like some rough line art and some weird parts in the drawing that shouldn't have been there. Some like specks that just like were ugly. I was fixing up some of the line art, making it more clean. And then you'll notice that Kefla, you can see a lot of her armpit. And I drew it that way because I thought that was how the Gexhin Squadra shot looked. The one where she was like pointing. I thought that like roughly that much of her armpit was visible. But then I just thought that looked weird. So I looked back at the Gexhin shot and nowhere near that much was showing. So I was just like, oh, okay, I gotta cover that up. That's not correct. So that's like the final touch I make to the drawing, and then it's pretty much done. I definitely learned a lot making this drawing. This is the fastest I've made something that I was like actually just really happy with. I think I actually forgot to record the part where I cover up the armpit. I didn't make any other changes, I don't think, but you can see that in the time-lapse short as well. After reviewing the footage, I would say my biggest issue the entire time was colors. And the final colors I landed on were pretty okay, but I found myself constantly having to go back and change things. Like, I completely had to make the background just red, because I just hated, like, the green and brown background. I just thought it was so ugly. And things like Kefla's clothing, I just thought, like, it just wasn't quite, like, the right color, and I wanted to add some, like, coolness to it to be contrasting with everything that's so red. And I think it kind of worked in the end, but I think I could have done a little better. I think the shading could have been more interesting, for sure. Because the shading is just relatively basic. I'd say it looks good on, like, her arm. I think the shading on the arm is quite nice, and maybe even the hair. But I'd say things like her legs and her torso-ish could have been more interesting shading-wise to kind of show, like, their volume and shape a little better. I wish I added some more just tiny details. Things like, you know, like some glisten on the skin, some, like, scratch marks, maybe some, like, clothing tears or something. Not, like, excessive clothing tears, but I just mean, like, you know, tiny little, like, tufts of, like, fabric ripped up or something. I think the orb effects came out the best. Those look, like, extremely well rendered, and they really look like they're, like, moving. There's a lot of motion in the drawing. I like all, like, the red effects I have going on in the background. And like the swoosh that's going over, like, her legs, I think is cool. Because I thought that area of the drawing looked kind of empty, so I really wanted to throw some, like, effects in there or something, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. I spent a long time trying to perfect those, like, red streak things. Originally they were going to be, like, kind of whitish pink, and it was, like, in different parts of the canvas, they were, like, low opacity, so they just, like, looked different based on the color they were, like, on top of. And I think I could have fixed that with some filters, but I ended up just making them, like, extremely red, so they would just always be red. I'm taking a design class in college right now, and I think I did a pretty good job of applying some things I've learned from there. A big thing is, like, point of interest. Like, what's the first thing that you're going to look at when you look at the artwork? And I think pretty clearly it's Kefla's face. It's the only big green color on there. The green is very, like, cool compared to everything else. And I think everything else can kind of, like, lead your eye throughout it, because, like, you're looking at her face right away, and then you're, like, your eye is, like, going down her body or maybe up her arm, and then, like, you're seeing, like, the spin effects, and you're seeing, like, this motion, and, like, feels like it's moving almost. Overall, this is one of my favorite drawings I've made in a long time. I really hope that you guys learned something as well as I did. I don't normally evaluate my artworks this much. I made, like, a Vegito thing recently because he came out in Genshin Squadron as well, and I did not, like, really evaluate this drawing as much as I did this one. I think I'm gonna learn a lot by doing this. I'll probably do this for a lot of future artworks going forward, so I can actually, like, document my progress and learn from, you know, legitimate things that I should be learning from. Alright, that's about it. I hope that I explained my drawing process well enough that you could take something away from it. If there's anything else that you want me to, like, expand on, for sure, leave a comment. And, yeah, that's about it. See you next time.